You know you've got a comeback in you. When you take the next step, you're going to make it count. For your career, for your family, for your life. You can earn a degree you're proud of with Purdue Global. Purdue Global is backed by Purdue University, one of the nation's most respected and innovative public universities. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. This is your comeback. Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
She's seen Encanto more times than she can count. And she can count to 10. She mentioned Mirabel in every conversation. But the moment she actually met Mirabel, she was speechless. That's pura magia. Find yours at Walt Disney World Resort.
5 years, 10 months, and 2 days. That's how long it took to grow the 38 inches to ride on Cali River Rapids. But the moment the wait finally ended, that was pura magia. Discover it at Walt Disney World Resort.
Hello, from Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month, we're diving into the divas of history, examining how the label has been used with many angles, whether describing women pejoratively or with admiration. Before diva meant a woman who's demanding and difficult to work with, it was the Italian word for goddess. In the 19th century, it came to describe highly admired and talented female opera singers, especially sopranos, who some would describe as goddess-like. Today we're talking about a woman whose voice made her a diva, but whose life brought her fame to new heights. Let's talk about Yoshiko Yamaguchi. Yoshiko was born on February 12, 1920, in China. The province where she was born, Manchuria, was a Japanese colony, and her parents were Japanese settlers. They had become close friends with two distinguished Chinese men who they decided to make Yoshiko's godfathers. Her godfathers gave her the Chinese name Li Shenglan. Although she was Japanese, Yoshiko was taught to embrace Chinese people and culture. Her father taught her Mandarin, and when she was around 7 or 8 years old, she left her Japanese school to attend an all-girls Chinese school. When Yoshiko was 11 years old, Japan invaded Manchuria and seized control of the territory. For Yoshiko, life continued relatively normally, until she contracted tuberculosis and the course of her life changed. A doctor suggested she do vocal exercises to strengthen her breathing. So Yoshiko began singing lessons with Italian opera soprano Madame Podrasov. Her talent was undeniable. By the time Yoshiko was 13 years old, anti-Japanese sentiment in China was strong. Yoshiko tried to hide anything that identified her as Japanese. She must have succeeded. In 1934, a radio station recruited her to sing Chinese songs. She used her Chinese name, Li Shenglan, as her stage name. Yoshiko is considered a coloratura soprano. Because of her voice's agility and flexibility, she was able to sing fast musical passages in a very high register. Her voice landed her on the radar of a film studio, Manchuria Film Association. This Japanese film studio primarily produced political films, dramas, and documentaries. For 18-year-old Yoshiko, this was just another opportunity to further her career. Yoshiko, using her Chinese pseudonym Li Shenglan, became the production house darling. Her singing ability set her apart from other actresses. Most of her films were propaganda films. In them, she played beautiful young Chinese women who fell in love with Japanese soldiers. These films aimed to portray Japan as China's protector, even at a time when the Japanese military was mistreating the Chinese people. In the 1940 film China Nights, Yoshiko plays an orphan who inevitably falls in love with the Japanese naval officer who takes her in. In one scene, the officer hits her. She responds, "It didn't hurt at all to be hit by you. I was happy, happy." When it came to the subliminal message of these movies, Yoshiko was naive. In an interview she did years later, she said, "I thought my films were simple romances. I thought I was working for the good of the Manchurian people." The studio knew Yoshiko was Japanese, but they presented her as a Chinese woman to serve as a proxy for the young Chinese women living in occupied Manchuria. Yoshiko's character was both hated and loved by Chinese and Japanese viewers with their own relationships to Japanese occupation. But her 1942 film, Eternity, stood out as a joint Japanese-Chinese production. It honored the 100th anniversary of the Opium War. The film was distinctly anti-British. It was a huge success in China and Japan. Virtually overnight, Yoshiko became one of China's most popular singers. But Yoshiko's talent wasn't enough to stop her impending prosecution. After World War II, Chinese authorities arrested and charged Yoshiko with treason. They accused her of collaborating with the Japanese as a Chinese citizen. They threw her in prison to await her public execution. Then, her family got a hold of her birth certificate, proving that she was a Japanese citizen. They smuggled the document into Shanghai, according to some sources, in the head of a geisha doll. Her Japanese citizenship exonerated her. Yoshiko was free to go, but her career in China was over. In 1946, Yoshiko started over in Japan. She gave a public apology for her part in the war, making her one of the first prominent Japanese citizens to confront Japan's history of occupation. Yoshiko also became a leading voice on reparations for Korean women forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese Imperial Army before and during World War II. When it came to her entertainment career, Yoshiko wasn't finished. In the late 1940s, her career bounced back in Hong Kong and Japan. Then in 1950, Yoshiko went to the US to act. Using the stage name Shirley, she starred in 2 Hollywood movies and a Broadway musical. Yoshiko married a Japanese diplomat in 1957. She retired from acting that year, but she stayed busy. She worked as a Japanese talk show host and then as a journalist and news anchor in the 60s. Then in 1974, Yoshiko was elected to the upper house of the Japanese parliament as a member of the Liberal Democratic Party. She advocated for improving Japan's relationship with China. She held the 2 countries very close. For Yoshiko, China was her home country and Japan was her ancestral country. After 3 terms, she retired from Parliament. Yoshiko Yamaguchi died on September 7, 2014 in Tokyo. She was 94 years old. All month, we're talking about divas. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. Talk to you tomorrow.
Welcome to the Criminalia podcast. I'm Maria Tremarchi.
And I'm Holly Fry. Together, we invite you into the dark and winding corridors of historical true crime.
Each season, we explore a new theme, from poisoners to art thieves.
We uncover the secrets of history's most interesting figures, from legal injustices to body snatching.
And tune in at the end of each episode as we indulge in cocktails and mocktails inspired by each story.
Listen to Criminalia on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.